I had a request to show the beginning steps of starting this blanket. Okay, I'm going to start the pattern just as if I'm going to do this blanket for real, even though this is just some junk yarn, so I can show you how to start it. I've got my 10 stitches cast on by a long tail, and I've got plenty of tail left over to sew up the seam that I'm going to have to sew up at the end. So I'm going to just start on the pattern here. Got my 10 stitches. Ridge 1 is to knit 2. And then wrap and turn. Bring your yarn forward. Slip a stitch as if to knit or as if to purl. Bring your yarn to the back. Slide that stitch back over. Then I turn. Pull my yarn snug. Bring it to the back. Knit 2. Now I'm ready for ridge 2 on the directions. From here on out, every time I start a row, I'm always going to slip the first stitch on this edge, always. So it will count as one of the knit stitches even though I'm slipping it. So I'm going to be on ridge 2, which is to knit 4, wrap and turn, knit 4. So I'm going to slip the first stitch as if to purl, because that's the way I want to do it. Then I bring my yarn to the back, and that counts as one stitch. So now I'm going to finish the knitting of 4. So this is stitch 2, 3, 4. Now do a wrap and turn. Bring your yarn forward, slip the stitch as if to purl, bring your yarn to the back, slip the stitch back over to the left needle, turn your work. I pull my knitting snug, bring it to the back, knit 4, and this will complete ridge 2. Now I'm ready to do ridge 3, which is a knit 6. So I'm going to slip my first stitch as if to purl, because I'm always slipping stitches on this edge. Counts as one stitch. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then wrap and turn. Bring my yarn forward, slip a stitch over as if to purl, yarn in back, slip the stitch back over to the left needle, turn, I pull it snug, bring it back to the back, and then knit these 6 stitches. Now I'm ready for ridge 4. Slip the first stitch. I'm going to knit 8. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm ready to work ridge 5, which is knit 6, slip my first stitch, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't forget that a ridge is 2 rows, down and back. This whole pattern is about counting your ridges. So this was ridge 5 finished. Now I'm doing ridge 6. Counts as 1, 2, 3, 4. Wrap and turn. I think a lot of confusion can come in at this point because you've completed your first pie piece, and it says in the directions to now work those 6 ridges again, and it seems confusing because you still got stitches on your needle. How do you start over? But don't worry about that, just do what the instructions say. You've completed your first pie piece, you've worked 6 ridges, and now I'm going to repeat these 6 ridges. So I'm going to start with ridge 1 and knit 2, slip 1, knit 1, that counts as my 2, wrap and turn, this yarn splits, so sometimes I have to redo a stitch. So there's my knitting 2 back. Okay, now I'm ready for ridge 2. Slip, 2, 3, 4, ready for ridge 6, which is knit 4. And by me slipping this first stitch, I hope you can see what a nice edge this is leaving. Every time when I slip that first stitch, it leaves a series of holes right underneath that are super easy to see. So when you're joining your second round to this round, it's super easy to do that and to see where the stitches will be joined. They're super easy to see. So I'm on ridge 6. Now at the end of this row, I will have completed the pie piece twice. I've just done ridge 6 2 times. And it says I am to repeat those 6 ridges until you have a semicircle. So I don't quite have a semicircle yet. So I keep doing this, but you can see here's my first set. Here's my second pie piece. I will keep doing this until you have the required amount of stitches or the required amount of pie pieces till this thing goes completely in a circle. I'm going to go ahead and work this, and I will speed up the video until I have a complete circle. Okay, I just went all the way around and sewed up my seam right here. I just did a real fast kind of a mattress stitch seam, and I have 1 stitch left on my needle, and in order to continue on I need to do a knit into the front and back of this stitch to have 2 stitches to then begin working my short rows. So knit into the front, knit into the back. Now I have my 2 stitches. Now I can continue on into the pattern. I'm going to be joining, get my yarn and my needles together here. I'm going to be joining my stitches now onto this edge. And I'm going to always slip my first stitch just like I did at the beginning. I'm going to slip the stitch always on this edge, not on this edge, but always on this edge. So my first ridge is knit 1, join, knit 1. I'm going to slip my stitch as if to purl, bring my yarn to the back. Now I'm going to join. I'm going to slip this stitch. I'm going to reach into the very first slip stitch. You see that V right there? I'm going to reach underneath both legs and I'm going to knit a stitch through. And then I'm going to take that slipped stitch and pass it over and off. So I just joined my very first row to this circle below it. So that was ridge 1. And then I'm going to knit back. Okay, now I'm ready to do ridge 2. I'm going to slip 1. This says to knit into the front and back and then do a join. So what it's wanting me to do is to increase 1 stitch, but I always want to slip the first stitch. So I'm just going to create a stitch by doing an M1. Pick up that little bar. I'm going to knit into the back of it. That's going to create a stitch, which is essentially what a knit into the front and back does. So there's my extra stitch. Now I'm going to join. I'm going to slip it, go into the next, not this one, because that's where my first stitch was. I'm going to go into the second one. I'm going to pull a stitch through. I'm going to take that slipped stitch and cast it off. Now I have 3 stitches on my needle. I'm going to go ahead and speed up this video, and all I'm doing is doing an M1 after I do the first slip stitch, and I continue doing that until I have 10 stitches back on my needle. So it's always slip 1, make 1, knit to the end, and do the join. Knit back. So it starts off at a point and I'm working my way until I have 10 stitches, and then I just keep going. I will stop doing the make 1 increase at the beginning of the row once I get my 10. I hope that helps. This is not in the directions the way to do the chain join. This is the way to do the simple join. You can certainly follow the directions and do the chain join. It's a beautiful way to join them, but that's just not what I'm showing you here. So anyway, that should do it. You just keep going. I hope this helps. Let me know how your pattern goes. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Give me a thumbs up. I appreciate that, and we'll see you next time. Bye.